So January is coming to an end. River's still completely froze up. So I think it's a great time to talk about my inflatable kayak. It has been over a year since I've bought this boat. I think it's time to do a review and talk about all the positives and negatives, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything I can think about, and give you guys some tips if you do buy this boat, what to look out for, and how to treat this boat a little better than I did to hopefully keep it from, as you can see, having some problems that have occurred over this last year. Let's just talk about the obvious first. So a few months back, I noticed this pontoon starting to lose some air. At first, it would just be a little deflated more than this one. And then as you can see, if you left it sit for a few days, it would end up being pretty much completely depleted. This middle one, I think has a slight leak, very little, but this has been sitting in the shed for over a month and it still has air in it. So the middle isn't a problem. So let's get this thing pumped up real quick because it drives me nuts looking at it like this. Whew. I hear a hole. Huh, there's a hole right there. Pretty good scuff mark right there. So before we get off on the wrong foot, yeah, there's a hole in this. It's an inflatable. That is bound to happen eventually. But I want to say, this is the best boat I've ever owned. It's the most capable boat I've ever owned. I am not sponsored by Aquaglide. I bought this with my own money. I can say whatever I want about it. From day one, I've had a motor on it. I don't think I've ever used this without a motor. This boat has been used upwards of 3 or 4 times a week sometimes. But the positives of this boat are kind of a given. Like, you just know if you buy an inflatable boat like this that you're getting superior stability. And I'm not making this an advertisement for their boat. That's any inflatable is going to be very stable. This boat, without me putting a bunch of stuff on this, weighed about 40 pounds. I think it was maybe 41 pounds, something like that. It makes it very easy to get on and off the water. Actually, with the motor on it, I could move this seat forward. I have another seat I could put in the back. Yeah, it'll hold 2 full-grown adults. But anyways, let's move on to some of the negatives, because those are the things that you guys really need to hear so you can decide whether or not to purchase this boat. First thing is, I would always store this pump back in this hatch, and I would always forget to close my scupper hole before taking off. The boat would fill with water. Well, this pump got a whole bunch of water at one point, and the gauge was useless after that. So once you get water in this pump, you'd never really know how much pressure you're putting in the boat. So the thing that really led me to buy this boat was the fact of A, it's an inflatable, but B, it's still shaped like a kayak and it has an inside. Because I didn't want to drop my phone, drop a fish, drop my rod, and it just fall off the boat. Because the other inflatables are more like a stand-up paddleboard and they're just flat. And I wanted to be inside of something. But what's funny about buying this boat, for that reason, it leads you to kind of like an engineering issue, in my opinion. You have 2 main pontoons, right and left, and on the inside you have a floor. It's drop stitch, it's nice and stiff, and this comes out. You can deflate this and pull this out of the boat so you can clean it. And that is my first tip. I think you should want to clean this often. Way more often than I cleaned it.
This guy over.
So, the reason why I'm telling you guys to clean this a lot. The first thing I noticed this boat was getting holes in its bottom liner. Now this liner's made out of the same thing as the rest of the boat. Actually, it may even be thicker. It's not the boat going over sharp rocks. That's not what's making these holes. What's making these holes is the fact of the floor is separate from this liner. And what's happening is you get in and out of your boat, you get those little rocks and pebbles from the river, and as you use the boat, those rocks naturally fall down in between the floor and this bottom liner. And these little tiny pebbles will push up. And so as this rubs over rocks, it's just wearing on that little rock area. That's why you get these little tiny spots, like tiny spot, tiny spot, tiny spot, tiny spot. And you end up with 100 holes in here because these little rocks got underneath that liner, made a high spot, and wore off the bottom floor where that tiny rock is at. So that's the main thing that I did wrong here with this boat, was you really need to pay attention to the dirt you're bringing into the boat and make sure you get it out of the boat so it's not getting underneath that liner. Again, I didn't foresee that being an issue, but that to me is the main problem with this boat. If this was all one piece, if they somehow just made this bottom piece the floor, then you wouldn't be having those little tiny rocks and holes in it. It probably wouldn't have any holes in this liner. But it's just the fact that it is a liner. It's contradictive because you think, oh, you have a liner, it's extra, so then your floor isn't getting rubbed, and so your floor is going to last longer. But here's the problem. That is absolutely true. As you saw, there's not really any holes in this floor, but there's holes in the liner. You think, oh, it's no big deal because it's all inflatable. What's it matter if you get a little bit of water in here? Well, here's the problem. With my motor on the boat, and me in the boat, and all my stuff, I'm heavy enough that that will slowly fill up to the point where this bottom floor is underwater. And this boat will end up weighing like 600 pounds, and you kind of lose the benefit of it being inflatable. You can't turn as good, you can't go as good, you start getting slower. That is where like the engineering issue of this boat lies. And so, to elaborate on this farther, this boat has 6 scupper holes that you can unscrew and open up. Well, the problem with that is, in this design, if you open those, that floods the whole boat. You think that those are there for safety, so if you get water in the boat, it can come out. But I'm telling you, with the weight of me, which I'm about 190 pounds, and the battery and motor, that's probably another 50 pounds or so, 20 pounds of stuff. So you have like 250 pounds of stuff in this boat. If you open those scupper holes, this whole bottom floor is underwater. You'll have an inch of water at your feet right here. To me, that is the design flaw of this boat. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I get what they did, but if you open it for safety to get water out, you're just letting water in. So that's not, so to me, it's kind of pointless to even have them. But see, that's the other problem with this boat. The fact that it has scupper holes. Not only because they don't really do anything for you, it actually makes it worse, but these scupper holes catch on everything. Same with where the fin would go. All this stuff, if you're having to drag this boat upriver, those catch everything and make it very hard to drag this boat. Now, is there a solution for that, engineering-wise? I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but I'm just saying that that's what happened. And that was the first thing I noticed owning this boat that really sucked. But coming back to the fact that this pontoon loses air. A few months ago, I took the inside of this boat out and I literally filled the inside of this boat up with water to look for bubbles all along the inside. Saw no bubbles. I then took Dawn soap and a rag and I soaped this whole pontoon down all the way around looking for bubbles. Never found anything. So this hole here, after we pumped up and saw this hole, this has to be a new hole. This did not exist, I can guarantee you, because A, I heard it, I never used to hear it. So this probably just happened recently. May have even happened from me dragging it in the garage. I have no idea, but that was not there prior to me putting this boat away. But this hole makes me happy because I can clean this and patch that and stop that from leaking. Well, I figure real quick I'd show you how I'd patch this hole. Not saying this is the most professional or best way, but this is how I'm going to do it. So get some acetone and wipe the area down real good. Clean it up. But I think the acetone kind of like, it cleans it, but it like softens the rubber or something. You know, so the boat came with a few patches. One of which I already used on the bottom. But I don't need a huge patch. We'll probably cut this one. Fairly straight. Just mark it with a pencil. The air is pouring out of there. You want to clean this patch pretty good also. There's like a smooth side and a rough side. I don't know if it matters, but I am going to take the rough side and put it down on the boat. I think the acetone part of this is really important. It definitely does something to that rubber that I think is going to help make it seal. I also got this glue off Amazon. It's fairly cheap. The boat came with some of this, but it's polyurethane MEK. Take this glue And we are going to basically put a coat on this. Make sure you get everything covered nice. Oh, it's on my table. Real nice. You don't want to miss any spots at all. And actually, we're going to let that sit like that. We're going to do the same thing to the boat. That actually just stopped that hole. That already stopped that hole. That's crazy. I don't know how I'm going to keep pressure on it. That's the only thing about this that's going to suck, is you really kind of want this to keep pressure on. So I don't know what we're going to do there. But it's going to be okay, because the freaking glue just... The glue literally sealed that without even having the patch on it. Alright, we gave her a few minutes. We're going to put another coat on this patch. Again, make sure you got it covered very well. Come to the boat, glob her on there, because you want to make sure you have the whole area covered in that stuff. We'll put it this way. We'll go just like that. And then what I like to do, take the edge of the brush and really work that in with the edge of that brush. I overlapped that a little bit and I shouldn't have done that, but just keep pushing it in. I'm actually going to let the air out now, so that we may be able to lay something on this to keep it down. That's probably a mistake. I probably should have had that like that the whole time, because I think that pressure pushed out, because I can hear a little squishiness underneath this pad. Probably wanted to do this deflated, just saying. How can I lay something on that? I don't know that I can. I mean, this stuff dries real quick. And hey, if it don't work, just do it again. Well, there you go. Trial and error. Don't have the boat inflated when you do this. Have it deflated, because the air is pushing out. I didn't do that because when I saw the bubbles stop and the air stop come out with just the glue, I thought it'd be fine. But no, you want to do it deflated, because you can hear, it might be okay. I think it's okay. We saved it just in time. But hey, if not, I'll let you guys know if it didn't work out. It is what it is. I always told myself, yeah, I'm going to get a hole in this boat. It's going to happen. But I knew I could patch it. Well, if you can't find the hole, you can't patch it. And so the original hole, I don't know where it's at. I could not find it. And it was a small hole. It was a small leak. I even stood this upright and filled up this pocket to get even more water area to see if any bubbles came out. I did the same with the back, and I could not find any holes whatsoever. I even tested the little valves. I tested around all the patches and all this. You got all these little things that are attached, like a hole could happen underneath that or something. I don't know, I couldn't find it. So if you're wondering what these are, it doesn't look the greatest, but this boat always had a problem with the seat squeaking in between the pontoons really bad. It was extremely annoying. And I first tried to use like self-adhesive felt on the boat, and that quieted it down, but the adhesive never stayed to the boat. So I ended up going to Home Depot and looking at their materials, and this is like some kind of bathroom backsplash thing, and I just basically made slots for these little tabs things, I don't know, to go through, and I just put a carabiner there. You can see where the front one sits, and that keeps it from squeaking, and it stays there. The front one, I just have a carabiner to my seat, and I have some zip ties up top. The back one, I just lace some rope through it in some places and things. Is it the greatest thing? No. Is it the prettiest thing? No. But it does work. It stays put. Any kind of adhesive with the boat growing and shrinking with air pressure, it never really stays. But that will always stay there because it's mechanically attached to the boat. Overall, when I bought this, I think it was like $1,100, which, looking back now, It's pretty expensive for what this is. It's a great boat, don't get me wrong. It's my most capable boat. I can't picture doing what I'm doing now with any other kind of boat. I don't think I'll ever be able to go back to a hard boat because the stability is so much better, and the weight and the speed, it's so much better in every way. So, you know, that's the price you pay, is you have something that is an item that at some point you have to discard. The environmentalist in me doesn't really like that, because there is a lifespan, and then at the end you have to do something with this. I guess they just end up in the landfill with everything else, you know, and that sucks, you know, because a hard boat, yeah, it can get holes too, but you can almost infinitely patch those with new plastic over and over and over again, and it's going to last forever. Like, it doesn't have to be thrown away. And I thought the same thing about this, and it's still, I'm going to keep running this. I mean, you're going to see me use this boat until it's like nothing but patches, and it loses enough air, but I can't get down the river in time. And I'll probably still pump it up and keep going, because I want to get as much life out of it as I can. Yeah, and I'm very hard on things, so the lifespan of this boat for me is probably going to be way less than a normal person. No, but like I said, I can't see me going to any other type and style of boat at this point. But I know towards the end of the year, this boat went on sale for like $550. It was like half price. I don't know if it was an end of year sale or Black Friday sale. The sale might be still going on. I don't know, because generally what happens with these kinds of boats is they make them for a while, they come out with a new model, and then the old model go on for sale, and then, you know, that's how things go, right? So you might be able to find this boat for $550, and I think that is a hell of a deal. I would not pass up this boat for $550. $1,100, I think there's better options out there for $1,100. It's done great with the motor for over a year. Seat's great, nice and comfortable. Every once in a while, you need to tighten these up. See, even this one's loose right now, because that lock nut doesn't quite hold it the way it should. Yeah, I mean, I put it through a whole year with the motor on it, and it's still here. So I'll put it this way, though. I'm going to make this boat last as long as possible, but at the end of its life, surely I will be moving on to a different kind of boat, because it would be nice to not have holes in that bottom liner happen because of some dirt inside the boat. I don't know, I can't think of anything else to say. It is a great boat. It's a great boat. Hopefully I can get out there and catch a smallie soon, because this sucks. I hate the fact that the river's frozen. We got some warmer temps coming up this week, and maybe that'll get rid of the ice. I don't know. There's like 4 or 5 feet of ice there. Maybe it'll warm up on the banks enough that it'll push that ice down, but I can't see it melting it. You know, it might melt along the banks and then flush out the ice. I don't know, but the ice itself is probably going to be around for a while. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoy. Hopefully that helps you determine whether or not you want this boat in your life. I think it's a great boat. For around $500, if that's still on sale, I would snag one up. Hope you catch a giant. See you next time.